If you grew up with Max Steel, you probably remembered the action-packed episodes that balanced humor, heart, and intense battles. The original series had a unique charm that made Max's world so engaging. From his turbo modes to the clumsy yet heroic nature of his character, it was a show that felt special. The reboot with its sleek new designs brought a fresh energy to the story. So without further ado, let's dive in. In the first episode of the series, the episode begins with 3 Intech agents, Jefferson Smith, Catherine Cat Ryan, and Roberto Berto Martinez, on a mission to retrieve the Ultralink from outer space. Commander Forge Ferris warns them not to activate the Ultralink, but their mission is interrupted by dreadnoughts, leading to a battle. The Intech jump jet is destroyed, forcing the agents to return to Earth and secure the Ultralink. Meanwhile, in the US, 16-year-old Maxwell McGrath and his mother Molly are moving to Copper Canyon. After a brief interaction with their neighbors, they leave, with Forge keeping an eye on them. At the same time, Jason Knott, a high-ranking official at THI, reports to his boss, Miles Dredd, about their failed attempt to retrieve the Ultralink. Dredd issues a dire ultimatum to Jason. Max starts his first day at Copper Canyon High School, where he meets Sydney Gardner and Kirby Kowalski, but also clashes with the school bully, Butch. After saving Kirby from being bullied, Max accidentally generates a wave of turbo energy, which is detected by Jason Knott and THI. Max awakens at Intech, where Forge reveals their connection to his father, Jim McGrath, and explains the origins of turbo energy. During his attempt to stabilize Max's energy, an Ultralink named Steel bonds with him, giving him the ability to control his powers. Max and Steel escape Intech after accidentally destroying equipment and begin learning to work together. Meanwhile, Miles Dredd sends Fire Elementor to track the source of the turbo energy. Max and Steel face Fire Elementor in a battle, but Max struggles to control his powers and blames Steel for their difficulties. In the next episode, Max McGrath and Steel are falling, but are rescued by Commander Forge Ferris, who advises them to stay ultra-linked to avoid being tracked by Fire Elementor. At THI, Jason Knott informs Miles Dredd they lost the turbo energy signal, angering Dredd. Forge warns Max not to reveal anything to his mother Molly and prepares him for training at Intech. Back at THI, a mysterious ninja infiltrates Jason's office, scanning their plans. Meanwhile, Molly, revealed to be the ninja, contacts Forge to meet the next day. The following day, Max struggles to hide his turbo base mode from Molly. Steel suggests creating a disguise using advanced technology, resulting in several mishaps. At school, Max returns Sydney Gardner's phone, repaired by Steel, who secretly adds a playlist. Later, Max undergoes rigorous training at Intech, discovering the turbo flight mode in the process. Afterward, he excitedly tells Forge about his date with Sydney. That evening, Max and Sydney go to dinner with Steel disguised as Max's necktie. Unbeknownst to them, Molly and Forge meet outside, analyzing a turbo energy scanner stolen from THI. During the date, Steel causes distractions, leading to comedic moments. Suddenly, Fire and Earth Elementors attack, disrupting the evening. Max, Forge, and Molly escape but are pursued. Forge uses Max to stay ultra-linked with Steel for safety, but Fire Elementor confronts Steel, calling him a traitor. Max re-ultra-links with Steel, defeating Earth Elementor while Molly and Forge fend off Fire. However, Earth captures Max and Steel, taking them to THI. At THI, Max awakens and encounters Miles Dredd, who absorbs Max's turbo energy, becoming more powerful and laughing maniacally at his newfound strength. In the next episode, at Intech, Forge Ferris, Cat Ryan, Berto Martinez, Jefferson Smith, and Molly McGrath work to locate Max, who's being held captive by Miles Dredd at THI. Dredd reveals his backstory to Max, explaining how a failed experiment with turbo energy 16 years ago bonded the energy-absorbing device to his body and killed Max's father, Jim McGrath. Max, angered by the revelation, generates more turbo energy, which Dredd absorbs. Intech arrives at THI, and Steel sneaks into the facility to rescue Max. After freeing Max, Steel is captured by Dredd, who uses him to amplify his plans to absorb turbo energy from products sold by THI, draining energy from the people of Copper Canyon. Intech infiltrates THI, battling Dreadnoughts, Earth Elementor, and Fire Elementor, while Max confronts Dredd to save Steel. Dredd, now immensely powerful, fights Max while continuing to absorb turbo energy. Despite Intech's efforts to disable the machines and free the people, Dredd grows even stronger. Max, realizing that overwhelming Dredd with turbo energy could destroy him, enters turbo flight mode and carries Dredd high into the sky. Max generates an immense amount of energy, causing Dredd to explode. Max survives the explosion and names himself Max Steel to reporters. In the aftermath, Forge suggests someone take charge of THI. Meanwhile, Jason Knott rescues Dredd in Earth's orbit, hinting that Dredd will return for revenge. In the other episode, Max and Steel train in a simulated alley fight, but Max struggles to focus and is defeated by a sewer monster. Forge and Berto advise Max to improve his focus. Max then leaves for lunch with his mom Molly, who's now the CEO of THI, where she she fires Dr. Titus Octavius Xander for creating a dangerous toxin. Titus swears revenge and secretly returns to THI, planning his retaliation. During a tour of THI with Max, Sydney, and Kirby, an alarm signals a chemical hazard. Titus releases a toxic gas, transforming workers into toxic zombies. As chaos erupts, Molly and the group find temporary safety, but Kirby becomes infected. In the lab, Titus accidentally falls into his own toxin, mutating into a monstrous being called Toxon. Blaming Max and Steel for his transformation, Toxon attacks. Max uses Turbo Strength mode to fight, but struggles against Toxin's newfound power. Toxin attempts to throw Max into the toxin, but Max and Steel manage to defeat him temporarily and locate the antidote in Fishy, Toxin's mutated goldfish. The antidote restores everyone to normal, but Toxon escapes with Fishy, vowing revenge. Max, his mom, Sydney, and Kirby enjoy lunch, while Toxin plots his next move in the sewers with Fishy. In the other episode, Toxin escapes from Copper Canyon Jail using his toxic powers, vowing revenge on Max Steel in the city. At the Hazard Wasteland, Toxin causes a chemical fire, prompting Max and Steel to respond. Despite saving trapped workers, Toxin escapes, leaving Max defeated. Back at Intech, Commander Forge and the team learn Toxin plans to poison the city's water supply. While securing the water systems, they discover Toxin has shifted his attack to releasing toxic vapors, creating acid rain. Max Steel faces Toxin in the sky, but is repeatedly defeated. Citro joins the fight, helping Max Steel battle goopanoids created by Toxin. As the situation escalates, Steel devises a plan to inject the antidote directly into Toxin, neutralizing the acid rain. Though the plan works, Toxin escapes due to Citro's misstep. Back at Intech, Forge commends the team for stopping the acid rain, but expresses concern about Toxin's escape. Max confronts Steel about his exaggerated superhero behavior. Steel explains his fascination with superheroes stems from feeling connected to their mysterious origins, similar to his own. Max appreciates the sentiment and suggests using a more practical turbo mode in the future. In the next episode, Miles Dread sends Air Elementor to Intech to free Fire, Earth, and Water Elementors and steal Ultralinks. Air Elementor creates a massive tornado to infiltrate Intech, overpowering the agents and nearly destroying the facility. Max Steel attempts to stop him, but struggles against Air Elementor's strength. With help from Citro and a turbo blaster, Max Steel manages to defeat Air Elementor and secure him in the Intech prison alongside the other Elementors. However, Air Elementor had planned his capture. At Intech prison, he secretly disables the security system, freeing himself and the other Elementors. As the Elementors argue and experiment with their orbs' combined power, they inadvertently unleash a trap that transforms them into a massive creature known as Ultimate Elementor. Cat Ryan, investigating the prison, encounters the creature and screams, alerting Max, Steel, and the rest of the team. In the next episode, Ultimate Elementor, a fusion of the four Elementors, escapes from Intech after a destructive battle, kidnapping Forge Ferris and fleeing to Miles Dread's secret hideout. Dread orders Ultimate Elementor to retrieve a transmitter hidden at Copper Canyon's water dam. At Intech, the team realizes that Ultimate Elementor can be tracked using weather patterns. Max, Steel, and Citro pursue him while Forge escapes Dread's hideout and rejoins the team, engaging Dread in an air battle. Ultimate Elementor begins his assault on the dam, threatening to unleash devastation. Max Steel and Citro confront him in an intense fight, utilizing the Turbo Sword and debuting Turbo Speed mode to counter Ultimate Elementor's powers. Despite their efforts, Ultimate Elementor demonstrates its control over natural forces, including lightning and ice. Max cleverly breaks part of the dam, freezing and temporarily neutralizing Ultimate Elementor. Before disappearing, Ultimate Elementor warns of his return. As the battle ends, the team discovers a hidden transmitter behind the dam wall, bearing the Intech logo, hinting at a deeper mystery. The episode concludes with a celebratory musical concert, a brief moment of levity after the intense battle, and the return of Forge to Intech. In the other episode, attempting to learn more of his past, Steel tracks down Extroyer, since he has an Ultralink embedded in his body. But when he leaves Max to investigate him, Extroyer's damaged Ultralink scrambles his system and makes him malfunction in all sorts of funny ways. Meanwhile, Extroyer has a hard time morphing and goes to THI to fix his problem. While unsuccessful, he demands that Max get him a device to repair his systems or he'll kill Molly. After repairing himself, Extroyer morphs into a giant gorilla and fights Max. However, Steel arrives and unveils a new turbo stealth mode which helps them defeat Extroyer, but he escapes. Steel then talks to Max about the memories he received after being scrambled and reveals there used to be another Max Steel before him. In the next episode, Max and Steel are on on a road trip in search for Intech's true mission, but instead they find Dredd and Jason Knott, who are looking for a transmitter that will show them all of Intech's network of transmitters. After a fierce battle, Intech arrives and defeats Dredd, but he escapes with Knott. Forge reveals to Max that there are hundreds of transmitters across the world, and since he only had half of the device, he only received part of the information. In the next episode, Max Steel and Intech investigate a radioactive contamination in the ocean, where mutated piranhas attack them. After defeating the piranhas, a giant piranha chases Max, but he's saved by Toxin, who has survived his previous defeat and demands his plastic pet Fishy be returned. He threatens to poison all the oceans on Earth if his demand isn't met. When Intech tries to make a copy of Fishy, Toxin discovers the deception and attacks with his new radioactive goopanoids. Forge arrives just in time with Fishy, and Toxin honors his deal by absorbing the waste and restoring the oceans, becoming even more powerful. However, Fishy convinces Toxin to attack Max and Intech. Toxin imprisons Max in radioactive waste and defeats the others. On his way to destroy Copper Canyon, Max escapes and tracks Toxin in a waste silo. Intech locks Toxin away in the Chemovault for safekeeping. In the other episode, due to his superhero duties, Max has been failing school. His teacher, while rummaging through his bag in search of his science project, stumbles upon Steel. Initially planning to get Steel back, Max realizes that the accidental deception is his only hope of a passing grade, passing with flying colors when the teacher is led to believe it's an electronic shoe warmer. The next day, Extroyer learns of the Ultralink on display at the school and buys it, inspired by their last encounter. Extroyer has created a device to unleash all of his powers at once. Max calls in Intech to help stage a rescue mission and faces off against a monstrous chimeric fusion of Extroyer with all of his animal forms. After narrowly retrieving Steel in time, Max is able to force Extroyer to surrender, escaping at the last moment by setting the adapter to self-destruct. Back at school, Max decides to make an honest attempt at a science project. While not looking as impressive as Steel, the teacher decides to pass Max anyway. In the next episode, when the Elementors can't stop arguing with themselves, they settle their differences by splitting up and hunting for Max Steel. Meanwhile, Steel hypnotizes Berto so he and Max can gain information about Intech's top-secret files, but they later find out he doesn't have any secrets. During his fight with the 4 Elementors, Max Steel uses a new turbo cannon mode to defeat them, causing them to retreat. Steel then apologizes to Berto, who regained his conscience. Back to Dredd's base, the Elementors agree to fuse themselves together into Ultimate Elementor once again, due to the fact their hatred for Max Steel has increased more while they're separated. In the next episode, with the Elementors finally working as one, Max Steel has been beaten by Ultimate Elementor for weeks. Outmatched, Intech decides that they need assistance taking down Elementor, so they enlist a very unlikely ally, having need of his twisted genius to defeat the monster. Toxin agrees and helps create a toxic formula to neutralize the Elementor's powers, but soon reveals it is actually a serum to mind control Elementor. Max Steel creates a brand new mode, Turbo Clone Mode, to defeat them. The serum wears off and Elementor breaks free from Toxin's control and pursues after him, angry for using him like a pet. In the end, Intech uses Toxin's formula to upgrade their weapons. In the next episode, Max Steel battles Extroyer at a museum with his new turbo modes. Extroyer escapes with a stone containing the DNA of a prehistoric dinosaur and extroys into a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Extroyer comes after Max Steel, aka Kirby and Sydney in disguise, to thank the hero for all he's done for them, and discovers that he's not Max. The real Max Steel arrives and tries to defeat Extroyer, but cannot beat him in this animal form. Sydney uses a knockout gas grenade to put Extroyer to sleep, and Intech later arrests him. In the end, Max tells Kirby and Sydney that they have shown Max Steel enough gratitude. In the other episode, Dredd creates a powerful weapon that will disable Intech's shield over the Earth, making it vulnerable to the Makino invasion. Meanwhile, Ferris and Molly finally tell Max and Steel the whole truth about his father and how he became a hero so he could help Intech stop the other evil Ultralinks from destroying Earth so their leader can devour it. In the end, the rockets Miles Dredd planned to launch on the Intech transmitters get destroyed, but they find out that Dredd planned it so he could use Max's own turbo energy against them so his ally, the Makino, would eliminate Earth. In the Season 1 finale, Ferris warns Max about an upcoming Ultralink invasion led by Makino, explaining that this initial attack is just the beginning and that more alien forces will come. Max, Steel, and Intech face off against Makino's ship and evil Ultralinks, eventually infiltrating the Makino starship. Forge reveals that Max's father bonded with Steel, becoming another Max Steel, but kept the truth hidden because he feared Steel might revert to serving Makino. On the ship, they encounter an upgraded Dredd, who offers Steel a chance to rejoin Makino. Steel tricks Dredd, knocking him into the turbo energy absorbing chamber, which causes an explosion, destroying the spaceship. As they escape, Forge sacrifices his arm to save Max from an ultra-linked creature. Intech defeats Elementor, and Berto gives Forge a robotic arm. Meanwhile, Dredd reports to Makino, who remains confident confident that more invasions are coming, with Intech unable to predict them. In the first episode of Season 2, an Ultralink attacks Copper Canyon, and Max and Steel step in to stop it. Steel feels unsure about his purpose, but they link up and defeat the creature. A Makino deployer sends 2 more Ultralinks, which bond with a gun and a tank. Max and Steel activate Turbo Strength mode and take them down. Next, a Makino fighter appears, and they switch to Turbo Flight mode to fight back. They destroy the enemy's ship using Turbo Clone mode and escape before it crashes. It turns out this was a training simulation. Forge warns them to prepare for harder battles. At school, Max talks with Steel about his powers. Sydney invites Max to watch a meteor shower. That night, as they watch, a bounty hunter lands nearby, and Dread and Knot discover Ultralink spheres disguised as meteors. In the next episode, Steel is captured by Vengan, who plans to bring him to trial for crimes Steel denies committing. Max tries to save him, but narrowly escapes an explosion caused by Vengan's bomb. Birdo rescues Max using Citro, and they plan to rescue Steel. Meanwhile, Vengan's ship is tracked, and Intech launches an operation against Miles Dread's hideout, where a captured Ultralink reveals a dangerous plan. Steel escapes Vengan's sphere, and Max confronts the Hunter. Their battle leads to an intense clash, but Steel reunites with Max. At Dread's base, a trap is sprung when an Ultralink takes over Intech's systems. Max destroys the Ultralink, restoring control. Vengan captures the rogue Ultralink, but lets Steel go. However, Makino begins building a monstrous army, preparing for a larger invasion. In a faraway part of the universe, a group of monsters is having a meeting. During this meeting, a yellow holographic monster tells Dread that his accomplishments have been acknowledged and gives orders to the Elementals to take care of Knot and Dread. However, Knot and Dread manage to escape from their plans. That night, Max wakes up from a bad dream about the accident that happened to his father in the lab. He shares with Steel that he thinks some of his father's memories might have been transferred to him when they fused together. The next day, Max and Steel decide to sneak into the secret Intech room to download important information. Suddenly, they're attacked by a group of Ultralinks. Max quickly goes into turbo mode, and with the help of his friends, they're forced to flee to safety. In the other episode, Toxon and his fishy sidekick are on a mission to find oil reserves with the goal of destroying humanity. While they're searching for oil, they suddenly get attacked by an Ultralink. During the fight, the fishy sidekick transforms into a monster and abandons Toxon to chase after the oil. At the same time, Max is at Intech, where he's getting new weapons to use in battles. However, instead of relaxing and watching his favorite police show, he has to spend time practicing with his new gear. After his training session, Max receives a call from Forge, who tells him they need to go to the Arctic. When they arrive there, they discover Fishy drilling for oil. As they get ready to fight, Toxon appears to defend his fishy companion. In the middle of the chaos, Toxon absorbs the oil, which makes him stronger. However, Max uses his new weapons effectively and manages to defeat both Toxon and his fishy sidekick. In the other episode, Makino instructs the Metal Elemental to take charge of the Ultralinks and warns him to be cautious of Dread, who is currently an ally. Meanwhile, Max and his friends are busy preparing for their band competition. After some practice, they spread the word about their concert at a cafe, letting everyone know that Max Steel will make a special guest appearance. On the day of the concert, Max and his band perform exceptionally well, outshining all the other bands and securing the win. However, the situation changes when Metal and the other elementals attack alongside Dread. Noticing the danger, Max quickly transforms and uses his clones to shield everyone while battling the elementals. He manages to take the Metal Elemental to a place with chemical compounds and defeats him using acid. After the fight, the band returns to the stage to play their concert once more, ready to entertain their fans and celebrate their victory. In the next episode, Vengan is sent on a mission to capture Steel because of his betrayal against the Ultralinks. Meanwhile, Max and Steel have a fight in the morning before going to school, which ends with Max turning Steel into a giant piece of meat. When they get to school, they continue to argue, with Max asking Steel to change back to his normal form. Suddenly, they're attacked by Vengan, who fights the Fire Elemental and manages to capture both Steel and himself. At the base of the Elementors, the Fire Elemental locks them up in a prison. However, with some teamwork, they manage to escape. Just in time, Beefy Max shows up to help them. The three of them team up and fight the Elementors one by one, successfully defeating them and making their escape. Afterward, Vengan expresses his gratitude to Max and Steel, but decides to leave without Steel. Meanwhile, the Mental Elemental is busy absorbing other Elementors, planning to become strong enough to defeat Max Steel in the future. In the next episode, Max and Steel start their day by waking up and doing some chores before going to school. While at school, they decide to have an exciting day at the beach with their friends. Soon, Berto arrives in his jet to pick them up, and they have a great time surfing in the waves. However, their fun day takes a turn when they're suddenly attacked by Ultralinks. To help them, Berto quickly creates a clone of Max, which gives Max a chance chance to hide and change into a superhero form. Once he's transformed, Max and Steel team up to battle the Ultralinks, which include ones made of metal, fire, and water. During the fight, the Ultralinks start to split up, and Max focuses on taking down the metal one. The other Elementors see what is happening and decide to run away. With his new powers, Max defeats the metal Elementor and manages to unfreeze the beach, bringing back the fun for everyone to enjoy again. In the other episode, Makino arrives on Earth, launching the largest Ultralink assault on Intech with Dredd's forces and a newly linked Forge Ferris. Despite Intech's defenses, Makino uses his powers to break through, flooding the base with Ultralinks. Max confronts Makino but is quickly overpowered. Makino seizes Steel, but Vengon intervenes, knocking Makino into a freezing wasteland to stop him temporarily. Meanwhile, Forge, under Makino's control, reaches a massive bomb meant to destroy Intech. Molly tries to stop him using an energy web to entangle him. However, Forge's enhanced strength allows him to break free, escaping and leaving Molly behind to face the explosion. In the next episode, after a tough battle, Max feels anxious about his mother, but thankfully, Birdo has rescued her. Max's mom urges him to save Steel, and once he does, she gives him a special code to use. Max then plans to sneak into Makino's spaceship with the help of Vengon's teleportation abilities. However, his tank is damaged, which makes things difficult. Meanwhile, Dredd and the Elementors manage to launch a teleportation beam for Makino's Alpha Link. Just in time, Intech arrives and attacks Forge, who's being controlled by one of Makino's Ultralink fighters, while Max's mom fights back. On the other side, Makino absorbs Max's tank and attempts to take his powers. Vengon saves Steel and quickly rushes to help Max. Suddenly, Max remembers the code his mom gave him and says it out loud. This triggers a memory of his father telling him about his powers. With this new energy, Max enters in ultimate mode and faces Makino. As they battle in space, Max punches Makino, disrupting the teleportation beam and causing Makino to be pulled into a wormhole. Back on Earth, Vengon assists Intech in battling the Ultralinks and manages to free Forge from their control. At the same time, Birdo works hard to stop the teleporter from causing destruction in the city. Meanwhile, Max faces a problem with his suit, which begins to malfunction. As he falls, he barely manages to survive by switching to cannonball mode, which helps him land safely. In the next episode, after Max Steel defeats Makino, Jason Knott watches a clip of the battle, but is interrupted by a video message from Makino claiming he's not defeated. Meanwhile, Forge surprises Max and Steel with a celebration for saving the world, but the festivities are cut short when Dredd sends a message about Makino's warning and taunts Max to find the third Turbo Star piece. Despite Forge's orders to stay away, Max and Steel head to an abandoned Intech Arctic base. After navigating traps to find this piece, Forge reveals he anticipated their disobedience and had set the traps himself. Knott and Dredd arrive with dreadnoughts, leading to a fierce battle. Although Steel activates old Citrobots, Jason turns them against the heroes, allowing Dredd to escape with the Turbo Star piece, leaving the heroes gravely concerned. In the next episode, 3 trainee Ultralinks take over the Intech cargo. Luckily, Max and Steel arrive just in time to save the day. The Metal Elementor, realizing they're losing, gives the order to retreat. The next day at school, the coach notices Max's amazing football skills and invites him to join the team, which also includes Butch. Meanwhile, the Metal Elementor is seen praising one of the Ultralinks for doing a good job. He then sends this Ultralink on another mission to capture Steel, but Steel manages to escape easily. Later, Max is playing football with his team when suddenly the Ultralinks and the Metal Elementor attack. Unable to transform into his superhero form right away, Max tries to fight in his human form for a little while. Then he sees an opening and quickly transforms. With the help of Turbolt, Max is able to defeat the Metal Elementor, saving his team and showing how teamwork and bravery can overcome challenges. In the next episode, Makino contacts Metal Elementor, ordering him to bring Steel under his control. Metallic introduces X-376, an Ultralink capable of reconfiguring Steel with a virus. X-376 heads to Earth. Meanwhile, Max and Steel are training with the upgraded Turbo Cycle when Max receives an urgent message about Sydney's condition. On the way to help her, Steel reveals her heart rate is dangerously high, and Max pushes the Turbo Cycle to its limits. X-376 attacks, successfully linking with Max's port, but Max manages to remove the Ultralink. As they head to school, the Turbo Cycle explodes, forcing them to use Turbo Flight mode. At school, Max argues with Sydney about the dance, but she eventually decides to go with him. Later, while hanging out with Kirby and Butch, Max is infected by X-376's virus, causing him to switch bodies with Steel. Chaos ensues as Max, now in Steel's body, tries to navigate the situation, while Butch notices something odd about Max's voice. In the next episode, Knott and Dredd are busy collecting Turbo Stars because Makino is set to arrive on Earth in just 3 weeks. Meanwhile, Max and Steel are training hard as they prepare for Makino's arrival. However, Max's friend Forge and his mother remind him that he should concentrate on studying for his upcoming exam instead of only focusing on his workouts. In a surprising turn of events, Knott manages to sneak onto the spaceship and uploads a dangerous virus called the Fishy Virus, which causes the ship to start crashing down. When Max learns about the crisis, he discovers that Toxon is dead. Determined to help, Max bravely enters Toxon's mind in an attempt to bring him back to life. While Max is inside Toxon's brain, Nod appears as well, knowing that he'll also be affected by the crash. Inside Toxon's mind, Max and Steel face a fierce battle against a scary monster and a giant fish-like creature. It's a tough fight, but Max thinks quickly and injects Toxon with a special serum. This helps revive Toxon just in time. Toxon then gives Max the important passcode needed to stop the spaceship from crashing. In the other episode, Miles Dread attempts to use Max Steel's residual turbo energy to power the Turbo Star, but he lacks enough energy to do so. He decides to capture Max Steel to use his power and destroy Makino. Meanwhile, at Intech, Berto tricks Max with a new holoprojector. Forge Ferris announces he must go to the Intech Daedalus platform, leaving Max and Steel to guard Jason Knott. Instead, Max and Steel steal Berto's holoprojector and help Knott escape, leading them to Dread's underwater base. They fight Dread but are seemingly destroyed by a missile from Knott. However, it's revealed that Max and Steel used the holoprojector to trick Dread and Knott. They steal the Turbo Star and confront Dread, who reveals his platform and massive Doombringer missile aimed at Copper Canyon. Despite Intech's efforts, they're overpowered, but Steel hacks Dread's system, sending the missile back. Dread's base is destroyed, and he's captured, with the Turbo Star secure. In the next episode, Makino and his fleet have finally reached Earth with the intention of destroying it. Max's friends are hiding in a bunker, while Max tries to confess his feelings to Sydney, but struggles to find the right words. At the same time, Max talks to Forge about using the Turbo Star as a possible solution, but Forge turns down the idea. Soon after, the Ultralinks begin their attack, and Max teams up with Vengon to fight them off. Meanwhile, Forge operates the ship's large cannon to break through Makino's ship shield. However, the enemy's ship retaliates, causing Forge's ship to start falling. In response to this crisis, Max activates his rocket mode and works hard to keep the ship from crashing until Steel can fix the engine. As Makino's ship prepares to launch another attack, Max and Vengon manage to reflect the attack back at Makino's ship, which destroys a significant portion of it, about 79%. After this, Max approaches his mother and Forge again to ask for permission to use the Turbo Star. At first, they hesitate, but realizing they have no other options to stop Makino, they agree. When they reach Makino's ship, they face the Steel Elementor and defeat him easily. As they move closer to the power source, they're shocked to discover a human figure powering the ship. In the series finale, it's revealed that the mysterious figure who's powering the ship is actually Max's father. Steel tries to turn off the power source, but just then, Makino appears and a fierce battle begins. During the fight, Makino is too strong for Max and throws him out into the emptiness of space. Max's mother becomes anxious when she can no longer contact him, so Forge asks Vengon to go find Max. Without wasting any time, Vengon jumps into his spaceship, teleports to the location in space, and discovers Max and Steel floating without any way to move. Vengon quickly rescues them and uses his teleportation powers to bring them back inside Makino's ship. Once they're back in the ship, Max tries to reach out to his father while Steel works hard to stop the power chamber from using up all of its energy. After a lot of effort, Steel finally succeeds in stopping the energy drain, and Max's father wakes up after being gone for 16 long years. This moment brings a lot of joy and happiness as they reunite as a family. However, their celebration is cut short when Makino comes back and starts attacking them once more, putting them in danger again. Seeing this, Max transforms into his fire and spiky form, but it doesn't seem to help much. Then he decides to use a powerful beam attack, combining his strength with his father's powers. Together, they're able to defeat Makino easily. In the end, Max surprises his mother by bringing his father back home, creating a heartwarming moment for their family. So that'll be it from us. If you enjoyed the video, let us know which character was your favorite. Also, do not forget to leave us a like and subscribe to our channel for similar content. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.